What's good, everybody? It's your boy Tico on Blitz, back at it again with another video. And today we're going to be taking a look at potentially one of the deadliest Tier 8 autoloaders that occur throughout the course of World of Tank Blitz, and that is going to be the T-57 Heavy's belated brother, the T-77. And I do really mean that it is possibly one of the deadliest Tier 8 autoloaders in the game, considering that it has 2 shells present in its clip over the T-57 Heavy's 3 shells, but it carries 380 average damage relying on its standard ammunition, which means if you pen both of your standard ammo and the 2 shells present in your clip, you're able to exceed those levels up to 760 average damage. How insane is that? Able to trade the majority of those high caliber guns like an ISU-152 for an example. That's actually insane considering that this is mounted on a heavy tank. Also takes along the lines of a Batchatillon Barask. However, the Barask has a little bit less damage output, but it does have better DPM levels, considering that that thing is a very troll medium along the lines of that as well. But there are a little bit of some downsides that do contribute towards the deadly alpha factors that this gun features. One of them is the sort of lackluster aiming time of 4.2 seconds with 0.292 dispersion, which basically means that you would have to wait until your aiming reticle is decreased to its fullest capacity in order to guarantee where exactly you're aiming at when you are firing in those 2 shells. And for the fact that you have to wait 19.47 seconds in order to reload those 2 shells back into your clip. But you do have a 2.5 second intraclip, and you're able to dump out those shells within a matter of only a couple seconds without having to rely on a special mechanic like Super Speed Boost to turn it into like an M6Yo to where you can dump that clip out in about 1.9 seconds. Kind of crazy to think about, but for this vehicle, it also has 160 mils on the front of its turret and 140 mils on the front of its hull. And this is what it looks like against a Skoda T56. There are a lot of troll spots that occur on the majority of the turret. You got all pretty much the outer part that is surrounded with nothing but spaced armor, upwards of 280 to 300. And you do even have a very troll gun mantlet that if you hit it in the wrong spot, you are significantly going to bounce this vehicle nonetheless. You do get a hatch on the roof that's upwards of 120, and you do got some little side skirts right here that surround the gun mantlet, and 2 little cheeks right here that surround the outer parts of these wedges right here. The upper plate is significantly troll as well when running standard ammo, upwards of 288 to 217, and even 287 in most regards along with that. And you've even got a lower plate to which you can easily overmatch, upwards of about 191 to 189. And one deadly factor that this vehicle carries is 10 degrees of gun depression, which will make a significant difference. However, you would have to be in a very accurate gun in order to hit the 2 weak spots that are lurking on the vehicle, especially since the hatch is still exposed. Well, for the upper plate, that is primarily what's going to make the biggest difference as opposed from firing in on this vehicle using its hold down capabilities. Now, this is something that the T-57 doesn't have after the amounts of armor nerfs that it's been receiving as apart from the past couple of updates. 307 to 303. I mean, what the heck, bro? This is on a Tier 8, which is absolutely insane to even think about along the lines of that. Which basically means that if I'm running my heats with my calibrated shells of 303 millimeters, yeah, I can kind of see now why calibrated shells got a significant increase, as apart from you are now able to butter through this turret like there's absolutely no tomorrow. But I would say that the average Tier 8 penetration is upwards of about 260 to 270 mils, but that's not really going to make much of a difference whatsoever, considering the fact that 268 is what's lurking on the T-77 without running Cali, and you still got these little cheeks right here to where you can still overmatch the vehicle in that aspect. So once we make our way towards the side of the vehicle, the side of the turret is upwards of 162, and then the back side is upwards of 89, and then the full-on side is upwards of 80 to 81. And then for the rear, the back of the turret is upwards of 142 to 198, and the full-on rear where the engine deck is located is upwards of 72, to which HEs of 68 millimeters can't really cut through and do the maximum amount, especially would account for the same when running Cali of 73 millimeters. Another thing that's quite surprising about this vehicle is that it, surprisingly enough, is fairly maneuverable, and it's one of those American tanks that reverses significantly fast at 18 km per hour in reverse, and you go 35 forward while having a nice power to weight of 16.7 along with that. So, I did catch two specific replays. I originally tried to record a video on the tank earlier, but then I found out that my mic was not connected the whole time. I always tend to make that mistake. Whoa! Alright, so anyways, here we are in our first battle on Yukon. Let's see what they got. A 53 TP, a Luva, and an E10. That looks to be all that they have in terms of their heavies. So we're going to be supporting our team by going over to the left side of the map. I would highly guarantee, since this is a fairly popular spot that every heavy likes to be going towards on this map, is going to be pushing up towards base C. And I know that that is significantly going to be the case, as the base is going to be captured right about now. So I am slowly moving my way upwards and seeing what I can peck off that's lurking over and capping base C. So we already got the enemy AT-7 spotted. We're running our heats to guarantee the pen. There's one nice tap into his vehicle and another nice tap. And look at that. I mean, heat shells still make a significant difference, but that's 600 damage right there. I mean, still, really good damage output that this vehicle has with the two shells that are present within its clip. It means that even if you are firing your premiums, you're still able to put up some fairly solid results along the lines of that. So we got the enemy E10, a little bit of a low roll, but it's still a pen, so that's not too shabby. But my teammate blocks me, unfortunately, making a very dire mispoke and a mistake because we love tank destroyers, and he caused me to miss an easy shot on the Luva. But that's totally alright. But we got another 8 seconds to reload our clip once again. Looks like all of their vehicles are pretty much just lurking on out in the back while at it. So we're reloading once again. We got the enemy Chimera out in the open. Nice tap into his vehicle. And then we're going to go ahead and use our second shell to clear that AT-7 while at it. Alright, so we are waiting another 11 seconds to have our next two shells loaded in our clip. We already got the Luva out in the open, and we also got the E10. He looks like he was going to aim on me and take a shot, but he does not want to, because that is the deadly factor of what this vehicle has, is that deadly 2-shell auto-loading magazine. And we do get a nice clear into the enemy Pershing while at that, and do get a nice tap into the enemy Luva. So now at this point, I know I have the majority of my team that's going off towards and finishing off the rest of the flank, while this enemy 53 TP decided that he wanted to go AWOL since he hasn't taken a hit just yet. To which we're going to change that, doing 405 into his vehicle to start us off with, firing again, 700 damage. How freaking crazy is that? On a tier 8 heavy. Like, oh my goodness, bro. This gun is just absolutely insane. Especially because of the fact that I am being very patient and waiting to fire my shells and aim directly into the weak spots. And we're going to showcase another example. 413, and just like that, 3,300 damage. What more can you ask for as opposed from that? It's just so easy with the amount of sheer power that this gun has in order to get very high damage results like this as apart from that. So 33-26 as in this battle, able to do top on the team while at it. And then we're going to go into our second replay here on Mayan Ruins and kind of showcase another fairly solid example to the deadly power of what this vehicle has going for it. So in this one, they have an IS-5, a T-77, and a T-29 along with a Tiger P. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going all the way to the right side of the map. I know that I could just go middle over towards B side in order to support my mediums, but as we can see, they only have 2 mediums while we have 3 mediums, or 2 mediums as well, along with a light and a tank destroyer going along to the left side. So we got all the support that we need going over to the left. So it's mainly just reliant on what's going to be poking on over towards A side. So we're going to be moseying our way all the way up over towards the right side. Looks like we already know that their enemies are lurking on over towards base C while at that. While we are going to continuously move on over and see what's going to be lurking on over towards the far right side of the map. Alright, so we're waiting right here until something gets spotted. Looks like we got a couple more enemies exposed. I did want to see if I wanted to try to go for that T-77 right off to the side. But then I noticed, oh hey, there's a Tiger P that's coming on over towards this side of the map. So, why don't I just go and poke myself and get some solid taps into his vehicle. 423 to start us off with. And another tap for 380. 800 damage already out of his vehicle. What the absolute heck, dude. And look at that reverse as well. I mean, that Tiger P, because I do have support that's lurking with me, especially since the T-29, I was able to escape that, so in case if he ever tried to get another damage output, I would have been thoroughly on ready. I wanted to load in my heats to guarantee the pen onto him. I do low roll, but that's the beauty part of being in a double shot, is that you can make up for that mishap or low roll and clear your enemy just lickety split. Alright. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be heading on over towards the left, as it looks like that my team is struggling to try to clear this IS-5, as it looks like that they have some more stuff to deal with off in the back. So I'm waiting patiently, trying to see if I can get a good angle on this IS-5, and then I aim right on in towards his side skirt and get a nice tap into his vehicle. And then I'm going to use my second shot to aim right on in towards this enemy T-29 right there, and get a 366 tap right into his vehicle. Again, another prime example, again, showcasing what the sheer power of the T-77 is capable of doing. So we got another 5 seconds to reload our next 2 clips, and we're going to aim right on in towards the enemy Saint Emil. I don't really know why that T-29 decided to poke his rear, as he is now out of the game. We also got the enemy Saint Emil. I wanted to try to see if I can get an HE into his vehicle, but just not thick enough in order to get a maximum damage shot, but we still make it up with a nice 475 max roll into his vehicle. Alright, so now that the majority of their enemies are taken care of, we notice that the enemy T-77 has been spotted. I'm like, go ahead and finish off that Saint Emil Tiger P, and I'll go ahead and take care and farm out some damage over towards this other T-77. Alright, so we're moseying on up. We know that he's still reloading his clip in the process. So we get one nice tap for 367. He's now going to load in his first shell and get a tap into me. But we out-trade him any day of the week, and now he is a one-shot, and he is out of the game while at it. Another prime example to the deadly capabilities for what this vehicle has going for it. And a much extensive amount of 3,500 damage, although it was only like 200 damage of a difference. Still a fairly solid result in that one, and another top on the team in that regards. Alright, well, if you thought we were done there, heck no, we are not. We're going to be testing ourselves in some live gameplay and seeing how we can fare well with this. Alright, let's see what they got. Uh-oh, they got a ground tank. Oh, no. Another T-77, a Smasher, and a Skoda T-45. Interesting lineup that they have right there. So let us go ahead and mosey our way. Looks like we got double T-77s by the looks of it. Let's go ahead and see how we can fare well. I would hope that the IS-5 is potentially not going to collide into me, because what I am trying to do is I'm trying to go over to the right side of the map. Alright, so let's go ahead and mosey our way over here. Let's see what they're going to have that's spotted off towards the back right there. So, alright, just waiting, just waiting. Oh, there is one of the T-77s right there. 318 slap into you. I can honestly care less about that. Let's see. Is he going to poke once again? Potentially not, but we got the Smasher lurking off towards the side right there. Alright, buddy, I know you want to do it. I know you want to do it. Oh, here you are. There we go. 309 slap. I can honestly care less if he pens me. It looks like that he was firing standard on me, too, which is actually quite crazy because, as you saw, I could have barely penned this guy. That's actually kind of crazy. Alright, so reloading our clip once again. Let's see what we can do. We got a Smasher that's lurking on over towards the far back side right over there. Don't really know where Bro is going to be lurking on towards. So, our Sue is making a very aggressive play right there. But we do get one tap into you. Sue, if you can move, I would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, I could just get another tap into you once again. Alright, so it looks like that we are going to be surrounded in any way, shape, or form by a lot of these enemies. So what I want to do to make sure is that I want to go ahead and necessarily back on up right over here. Just to be sure that the Su 130 is going to be moseying all the way forward. Alright, well, I'm not going to be worrying about this flank whatsoever. I'm going to be moseying on over towards the ground tank right over here, see what we can do. Bro looks like that he's actually going to be charging us like full power or whatnot. Alright, he is facing his side. So there's one tap into the ground tank. And two taps into the ground tank. Alright, another 800 hit points deducted out of his vehicle. Fairly solid stuff right there. Alright. So we're reloading our clip once again. Looks like the ground tank wants some, and he's going to come and get some as opposed from that. So reloading, 3, 2, 1. There he is. Let's go ahead and hit that corner cutout right there. And, oh, just bouncing him in the process, unfortunately enough. All right, so, all right, the ISU-130 is still trying to flank directly behind us. The ground tank is going to try to necessarily come in and do some more damage to us. All right, let's see. All right, yeah, so it looks like the enemy team is potentially cooked for the most part. I don't want these guys to literally just come and show out of nowhere, pretty much. That's what I am not expecting. So, I don't know where that Su-130 is. I'm not going to risk that. All right, so at this point, I think we should go and clear this ground tank right over here, as it looks like my Ally 57 Heavy took care of him for the most part. And one nice tap into the ground tank. Nice, he does get cleared as apart from that. And then we're going to mosey our way right behind us, and we're going to clear this guy real quick. Oh, good, he does bounce me. That's really good. All right, so I'm actually going to stay put right here. I'm going to allow my other 57 Heavy to maybe take the blunt of the hit for me. Otherwise, if this guy is going to be too greedy and poke that, which it looks like that he's not, we're just going to go straight at him at this point. So, even though if he does shoot me once, he does not have the ability to clear me. All right, well, it looks like he clears my teammate. So, we're going to get a nice clear into his vehicle, and it looks like that this guy doesn't have the ability to clear us either. So, we're going to aim in a heat shell to guarantee the pen, and 3,000 damage once again. Beautiful stuff. There we frickin' go, baby. That is another fairly solid example demonstrating what the sheer power of the T-77 is capable of doing. And that is another top on the team in that aspect. Alright, so that is pretty much all that there is to it. There is currently a bundle going on in the shop for 7,500 gold for this vehicle. It is one that if you do not already own the vehicle, I would highly recommend to pick up this vehicle. It's got everything that you want going for it, and you are going to be doing sincerely well every time. Oh, God, excuse me. Every time you put up a solid performance in it. So, hopefully you guys did end up enjoying today's video on the other hand, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it, so you do not miss out on any new videos. And if you guys want to stay up to date with upcoming videos and streams that I am about to do, then click the link in the description below to join my Discord, so then that way you'll get notified instantly when a new video or a stream drops. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, y'all.